Welcome back. In part 1 of our Design Plus training, we learned how to open the tools, we learned how to add a banner image, we learned how to customize the banner text, and we worked a little bit with the navigation block. In part 2, we will learn how to add content to our page, we will learn how to add and work with links, and we will learn how to customize that navigation block. Before we do that though, I want to point out a couple of more things about the Design Plus tools. One thing I want to show you is the view option here. You can see that you have a view that is called blocks, and that's what we're currently in. Design Plus thinks in terms of blocks. Each element of your page is like a little box that holds content, and you can see that each block is highlighted in blue here. If I click on Browser, this shows us approximately what students will see if they're looking at this in an internet browser. Sometimes things do not scale nicely because we're in an environment where we have these design tools open, and the students will see slightly different, but this gives you a good idea. If you click on App, you will see approximately what this will look like in the Canvas mobile app. And no style is basically what it looks like if we were to make this content available offline. I'm going to click back in my blocks menu. The other thing that I want to point out to you is at the top there's a gray bar that says Begin Design Tools Wrapper, and then at the bottom there's another, if I scroll on the right one, there's another gray block that says End Design Tools Wrapper. Everything that you build with Design Plus needs to go in between those two gray boxes, otherwise it will not work. Let's talk a little bit about adding content. I just mentioned that everything in Design Tools needs to be in a block, and you can see that we don't have any blocks to put stuff in, so we're going to add those. And you can do that by clicking up here on the Add Content blocks, or you can expand the Create and Edit Content and come to here to, actually not here, you do want to use the Add Content blocks. When I click on that, you'll see that this opens up a separate menu where we can add blocks. And we have pre-built for you 6 blocks that we think will be fairly common on pages. Jessica and I may add some more of these as we go. On this page, let's say that I want to add some introduction text. I'll simply click the green plus, and you can see it moves it over here into my Add and Rearrange Content blocks. I might also want to add student learning outcomes, and let's do readings for this. Let's say though that I also want to include an introduction to myself. This is my front page after all. There is no block pre-made for that, so I'll need to create a new one. I'll click up here in the Create New Content block and type in Introduction, and then click the green plus. And I'm going to close this now. I could add as many blocks as I wanted to here. In the pre-formatted blocks, other than the introduction, you will notice that there's a nice little icon that corresponds to the text. It's just a visual reinforcement of what the block is. The one that I added myself, though, doesn't have that. And let's say that we want to add that in. If I click in the little gray box here, it opens up a menu to customize the icon. I can either search, or I can choose from drop-down menus and get categories. In this case, I'm going to search for teacher. And the apple feels a little juvenile to me, so I'm going to use this image right here. And that just added my icon in. If I want to change one of these, I simply click in the box, search for a new one, and replace it. Now that I have my blocks in place, let's add some content. The Student Learning Outcomes block is pre-formatted as a numbered list. And I can add in, and if I simply hit enter, it adds a new line, and I could add another student learning outcome. Please write better outcomes than I have here. The same would be true in the readings. In my introduction, I might write something like, I am a news junkie. My favorite site is the Huffington Post. but I'm going to go for balance. And let's say that I want to link out to those. I'm going to highlight the text, and then I'm going to click link to URL, just like I normally would in Canvas. And I can insert my link. Let's say though that I decide that I want to change this. Maybe Fox News is not really one that I read a lot, so let's do CNN. I can do the same thing here. This is the first time I've added this link. And you realize my mistake right there. My text reads CNN, but the link goes to Fox News, and I need to change that. One of the quirks of DesignPLUS is that if I simply highlight this and try to unlink it or to change the link, there's a good chance that it will leave little remnants of code that will cause the link not to work. So I need to change it in the design tools. To do that, I'm going to click on this button right here, Current Element Style Panel. And when that panel is open, anywhere that I place my cursor, you can see it brings up formatting options for that particular thing. Right here it shows an ordered list. If I click here on my link, it opens up a place where I can change the link. I could change the text to match where the link is, or I can leave my text as it is and click here to change the URL. It's worth noting that you can also click here to link to specific parts of your Canvas course if that's what you want to do. A couple of other things with links is that you can click Open a New Tab. That will force it to open in a new window. You can also click this to let students know after they have already visited the text. You can add an icon to a link if you want to, just like we did with the headings. And there are a number of pre-formatted styles that you can use. Let's do danger for a news site, right? Maybe I decide that's too much. I can simply click Remove Style, and that will take me back to my normal link. Now that I know how to work with links and how to use my Jump to Current Element Style panel, I can play around with my navigation block. I'm going to click here, and you will see that this shows me the link that this would go to. This is a part of the Canvas page, a Start Here page. The same is true for modules. But let's say that because I'm a news junkie, I want a current events button. Actually, I already have the current events button in here. I added that a few minutes ago. So let's say that I want on my navigation block to link out to, let's say, Politico.com. The way that I do that is to close my Current Element Style menu and click on the Create and Edit Content menu. And you can see if I scroll down, there is Add or Edit the Navigation block. Currently, I have 4 items. If I want to add a 5th, I click Add Item. I need to give it a title. And then I need to provide it a link. And I can do that by highlighting, link to URL, and update the link. If I needed to change that, I would click here, go to my current element style, and add that in. And I can do the same thing to open in a new tab or to indicate visited. I want to show you something though. If I come up here to my view and click on browser, this looks pretty bad. The content is split right there. And this is a feature of DesignPLUS. Your navigation block splits at a certain point. You can see this shows my list splits at 4. But if I reduce that down to 3 or 2, it will move my content into better, more matching blocks. I won't tell you how to design your page I personally think that when you have an odd number of items in your navigation block, it ends up looking a little bit weird. I could also click here to add an icon for my Politico link. That's it for this part of the Design Plus training. We'll come back in part 3 to learn more.